Hooking should be a notice. Takes a little while. Da-da. Oh, there's something. Yep. All hooked up, ready to go. There it is. Cool. Wait, back to Zoom. Oh, there it is.
You want me to play the video
Yeah,
out loud?
play that video again. Adyashanti.
Okay, the title is called Awakening is not the answer to everything.
People often think I'll just have some enlightenment experience and then I will somehow just be sort of perfected throughout the whole of my human experience. And it just doesn't really work out that way. Certain parts of the human experience need their own kind of, need their own attention and need their own development, and awakening is not necessarily the answer to absolutely everything in life. It addresses the existential issues of life. Who am I? What am I? What is life? What is God? The existential issues of life. But it doesn't necessarily address all the other developmental aspects of life, and some of which, and many of which, are actually very, very important.
I don't want it anymore.
Yeah. You want perfection. But
Which
see,
doesn't
that's
even
what
exist.
that's what I'm always talking about with the lies of Eastern spirituality, particularly the way we've interpreted it, right? I mean, they paint Buddha as being so freaking perfected, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But the biggest problem I see is that people, they're like, oh, this perfection, right? So instead of going for enlightenment itself, they try to perfect themselves
Yeah. Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
right?
Which a lot of it is acting, right?
Acting and
It's
pretending.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and if you look at, so this is where I say again, like psychology can be like so insightful here. Just you can even ask the question and go into the questioning itself, which is why? Like literally for what purpose? What value does it have to become a perfect person, right? And let's say even you were saying yesterday, using imagination, right? Okay,
Mhm.
imagine what would it be like if you were the person that you want to be and everyone loved you exactly in that way? And then it's just like, what really even changes and stuff, right? And why do you want it, right? Do you really want all that attention and all that? It's just
Yeah, but if you are that perfect, nobody's gonna like you.
so that's the thing, right? It's
I mean, if
in
you were that perfect, you wouldn't understand anybody else or be able to, I mean,
yeah,
what would you be doing?
yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's just I want to be liked by every single person. And I think a lot of people's goals is that, right? I want to appear attractive to everyone.
Right.
And and yeah, like there's nothing. You can't do that. You just like that's not a thing ever.
It's not a thing. Yeah, because that's just working on the false face.
Yeah.
You
And
know, and
even
some
but like you can even work on it and it just there is no end. You won't get it. Like you
uh-huh.
just won't get it because it is by definition an abstraction. It's not something that it's an idea, right?
But if you work on it, knowing that you're working on it, it's very valuable because who is working on it, right? And so it's like, yes, you can improve your
Mhm.
mind.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously,
Yeah, yeah,
read a book. I mean, it's so easy to put information into your mind. You can improve the way that your emotions fly out of your body, right?
yeah,
You can calm yourself down. I mean, like you can go take a weightlifting class and make your muscles stronger. You can learn to play a musical instrument, and
yeah,
so you can improve your mind. But if you're doing it so that you understand, okay, the very fact that you can improve it means that it's not you.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
improving it. So
Yes.
who are you? And
Yeah.
that's what Adyashanti was just talking about in that video. It's like so important to find that ground of being, because if you don't have that, then you're just flipping around everywhere. If you think that your mind can change all the time. Your
Hmm.
emotions can change all the time, but you're this core out
Yeah.
of which it all comes. And
Yeah.
that's why native teachings from when you're a little tiny child is constantly, who are you? Who are you? This is how you
Hmm.
blend in with all your relations. This is how everything works together. But who are you? Who are you? Because you have to know that.
Yeah.
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 And so that's why I think probably that's the best spiritual teaching there can be, is just to be constantly told, you know who you are, who are you? You
Hmm.
know it. Who are you? And then one of these days you're like, well, oh duh, obviously. Like I remember when I closed my eyes, when I became enlightened, right? The what I saw was nothing. And Osho had talked about nothing for years. And I always thought he was talking about some beautiful phenomenon. And I looked at it and go, oh, it's actually nothing. And it was just like, duh. But
Hmm.
he had told me over and over and over and over and over, you know, you're looking for nothing and everything.
Hmm.
And I saw you see that yesterday
Yeah.
when we were talking. Yeah.
Oh, you saw it? Damn.
Yeah.
Like, well, so
Like,
I'm,
oh yeah.
yeah, bro, I wish it got deleted, right?
I
But
got deleted.
I was see that was like one of the moments I would actually play back because I totally forget what even was being said, but I remember it
Right,
was like so strong. I totally forget. Do you
right.
remember what you said?
I don't remember because it kind of doesn't matter, but I remember you just going, "Oh yeah," you know.
Yeah, it was so good. I love it. But yeah, I mean, okay, so yeah, I think there's that nothingness is really about see, this is me trying to define it, trying
Yes.
to
Uh-huh.
define my experiences. I'll just say that. But it's that nothingness is there's no individual object. There's no object that is a separate thing that you can just look at in singularity, right? There is only this everythingness, right? There is only this beingness, right?
And your nothingness is exactly the same as my nothingness.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Right? There's not two of them.
So that's like in a weird way, it's you can still say like okay, so obviously aliveness is happening, existence is
Yes.
happening.
Yeah.
And maybe you can say that everythingness is the very
Yes.
fact of existence, right?
Right.
But again, and that thing is not isolated, right?
No.
So that nothingness is not a complete like void really, right? That void includes everything.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah.
again, this is me working
Yeah.
with paradoxes. So
Yeah. But just think about it. One of the things that's so important about finding that ground of being is you realize how unimportant you are and
yes.
how
It's not about you.
impossible, yeah,
It's not about this. And
and
it's
how impossible importance is, how impossible attaining importance is. And that's what Adyashanti was just talking about
yes.
right there.
It's actually so beautiful, bro. When you actually just like and so
Yeah.
you can I've even done it just through thinking, just through like, okay,
Yeah.
you know
Mhm.
what? Like obviously the world isn't about me like this, right? Like
Mhm.
it's what the heck? Like just to be concerned only about this is just really weird.
Mhm.
And
But to be not concerned about this is really weird too.
yeah, yeah. So like,
Because
but
you
like
are
any kind of
you are
way.
engaged in everything and every
Well,
single
I'm the
thing that you
instrument
do.
that is
Yep.
being
Hmm.
concerned,
Right.
right?
Right.
About everything else.
Right.
So it's but to just have your uh focus narrowed on uh only one part of you, which is the body survival or in the body spheres or
Mhm.
whatever,
Or
right?
my emotions, or, you
Or
know,
perfecting it or having these
yeah,
goals that are just
yeah. Or healing what happened to me as a child, it's
yeah, yeah,
so I wanted to tell you that. So the other day I was sitting and I was just kind of looking at zero, looking at nothing. And I was trying to think, how can I better describe this? And so I closed my eyes and I looked at nothing, and I felt that thing that you're always interpreting as fear. Like I feel fear, right? And but it isn't fear, but it's definitely there, but it's like so much aliveness that it kind of makes your body quicken. Does that make sense? But it's not really fear.
yeah. Okay.
Yes. So play around with that a little bit. Do the looking at zero, then looking at nothing, and then refuse to believe that that sensation is fear.
Yeah, so what if
It's,
I told you it's interesting you say that because I think it was like 2 days ago um where so I kind of just have my own method where I just kind of try to
yeah,
silence the mind and then just say, okay, who am I? And then I see it, right?
yeah.
Um and so I think around 2 days ago it was like this overwhelm, big,
Hmm.
big, big overwhelm, right?
Hmm.
And so like I'm all like I agree with you on what was the term you used? You just use it. There,
It's like a quickening. It's like
it's
alive,
aliveness. This
alivening.
strong aliveness, right? And
Hmm.
yeah, I guess I maybe there's a fear of that, right? Psychologically, right? But there's an interesting question that because we were playing with this imagination, like the ability to imagine yesterday,
Yeah.
and I think that's like extremely powerful, right?
Hmm.
And so I started thinking of the question, what would it like? And I mean, you can almost do this with any fear, right? And to build up courage to do like anything that you have maybe some resistance towards or discomfort towards, is just asking, and a weird question, but can I be with this for the rest of my life, let's say? And
Hmm.
the answer almost always needs to say like be yes, right? To go into it. Um,
Yeah, but if it's like any sort of an effort at all, you can't keep it up. So it's a point of complete effortlessness.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's like, so it's not your brain that's being there, it's you,
yeah,
And so yeah, so there's complete effortlessness involved in
yeah.
knowing who you are, because you've always known it.
Because I guess we're just working with everyone. We're just working with fragments, anyways. So I think
Right.
it really, really just. I honestly do think just we're out here trying to find solutions. I think just being aware of the thought as a thought, right? And like,
Hmm.
this is why Krishnamurti's teachings like are just so powerful, and the way he says it is like extremely
Hmm.
effective because you're seeing the appearance as just an appearance and nothing
Hmm.
else, right?
Right.
So, stories are stories, right?
Hmm.
And you're just seeing it as a story. And I think that is just being aware of that instead of getting caught in it like anything, right? Again, I'm working with fragments as
I know. Yeah,
it's like
because we're
just like
talking about it. Yeah.
right?
But the thing we so often miss in non-dual studies is the human being, like the human being that you are and that ground of being. And so, just one way to think about it too is that if you find that spot that Adyashanti was just talking about, that Krishnamurti talks about, then you can become the very best Muslim.
Hmm.
You could actually be an authentic Christian if you
Hmm.
find that spot. You
Hmm.
could actually be a good therapist. You
Mhm.
could actually be a good Native American, right? You could be an astronaut.
Or an ass.
Yeah. But without that, you're just fragments being pulled one way or another, or one way or
Yeah.
another. Someone will write a new book and you're like, "Oh, that's the best thing I ever saw because it made me feel really good."
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, so it goes it just so yeah, we were talking yesterday about how as well the Eastern religions like to say it's a rare thing, right?
Yes.
I even just came across it. It takes 8 years to find your inner guru, and I'm just like, I don't know about that.
It's 7 lifetimes.
7 lifetime, and I'm just like, why does it need to be that way? And it
Right.
takes 8 years to find yourself,
Mhm.
and to be a guide to yourself. But it's just who's asking, who's looking, right? And
Mhm.
and that's powerful, bro. Like just go into that. Because again, I think it's just working with fragments.
Right, but then also to kind of like just put your life on hold while you try to find this thing that's defined as undefinable, right? But really that 8 years is an important 8 years because you're learning how to be a decent human being, so don't waste the time. I
Yeah.
mean, though in those cultures, someone searching would go into a monastery.
Yeah.
Then, so it kind of makes sense. It takes 8 years for you to stop being such a freaking idiot that you were when you came
Yeah.
in, you know.
Yeah. But
But but we're in a different situation here.
yeah.
Yeah, and those teachings just literally don't apply to us.
Well, it's just as a saying it as necessary, right? Like adding a time frame as some kind of necessary requirement or a
Right.
prerequisite. I was
Mm,
thinking a lot about one of your titles, which was it's your birthright. Knowing
yes.
who you are is your birthright. And
Hmm.
it just seems so obvious to me, like, oh, of course,
Right.
right? It's not something that I mean, I have to acquire and work hard to acquire, right?
Hmm.
And is emphasis on have to, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're looking for the authentic human being. And then also, we live in a totally different time now than anybody's ever lived in. Like everything right now is completely unprecedented, right? So we need the most awake human beings possible to
Yeah,
come together and work on, because the solution to it is going to be completely never done before.
yeah,
Because we can't just go back. I mean, there's so many people who like the Sky and her idea of what was that? The dominant species always goes extinct after so long, and so she's like, "Yeah, we're just going extinct." And so many people think that, and I'm like, "Well, that's like not very honorable of a way to look at it. Like 8 billion people have to die."
yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, and
I
then you responded with it's finding that balance, or you guys had a it's
right.
knowing, maybe like the actual reality as it is, right? But
Hmm.
it doesn't take away from, what we like ourselves are naturally inclined towards, and that is to promote the well-being of ourselves and others, right? I
That I
think
think that
that
is
is at,
true.
at its
Yeah,
core. So
I think, yeah.
regardless of I mean, yeah, this like in the cosmos not mattering fucking at all, right? It's like,
Yeah, but
yeah,
I think
they'll
as a
have
human being, caring about other people is so baked in that you have
it,
to just turn huge amounts of yourself off to,
it's yeah, so like, and this is why I say, right? Like, it's a tool, right? Like that perspective on reality, it's a tool. It's maybe it can be a good tool to maybe for my own fears, my own personal
Mhm.
fears, though,
Your therapy.
right? And it's like, sure, use it, but you know, just like anything else, right? There are other tools we have at hand as well, right?
Right.
And you know, it's context dependent. What does the situation call on me to use, right?
Mhm.
And that's just a toolbox, right?
Well, and I was thinking about that thing about how dominant species always go extinct. And then
Yeah.
everything that I've been reading from the native wisdom people is that they're basically saying until civilization came, we were not a dominant species.
Hmm.
We lived completely within our ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that so has to be true, just simply the numbers.
Hmm.
They're saying now, I just read this article that human beings, primates, our ancestors, have had the cognitive ability to communicate and create culture for like 600,000 years, a
Hmm.
million years. So, and like the Neanderthals had bigger brains than we have, and they lived totally within their landscape. And so it's only the last 4,000 years, maybe nine, that people have started to think of themselves as a dominant species.
Yeah.
There's a good article by Ghost Horse, and he's talking with this one young guy, Ryan Connor, and he says that in the Lakota language, there is no word for dominance
Love it.
or domination. So, but there's all sorts of words for blending in. So we've only been a dominant species for um 4,000 years,
Yeah.
maybe 400.
Mhm.
Right? Industrial revolution.
Yeah.
So our actual nature is to care and to blend and to um, enjoy the cosmos
Yeah.
the way it's created.
Yeah. In a
So
weird way. I think uh all species and organisms have that same thing at the core of it,
I
right?
think so.
Even
I think so.
cells trying to connect with other cells, right? In a weird
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So there was something there long before humans that was alive and awake and nothing and everything and
Yeah.
no, yeah, yeah. So our job, right here, right now, is to wake up so that we can start living in a new way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
was
it's totally possible and it can man, shifts can happen so fast.
yeah, I do believe so. I
Yeah.
really do think so. You were saying we're living in unprecedented times, and I mean, obviously, a contributor to that is technology, right?
Mhm.
So it's it. Speaking of tools, it's just another tool, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we can really use it to our benefit. We
Yes.
can. I mean, we
Or
are
to our
using
destruction.
it, right?
You're right.
So, like, I mean, and that's what we are doing. Like,
Yeah.
we are doing that, right?
Yes
Let's
and no. I mean, there is so much really amazing stuff going on, and it's
Oh,
like
like
an
when that's what we're doing. We're
explosion.
doing it both for the
Yeah.
positives and the negatives, right? But
Hmm.
I'm saying like, yo, we can really start using it towards the positive even more, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
it's just it's there, it's accessible, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And people are on it. I
Yeah.
heard, what did I hear? It's like weapons of mass distraction,
Yes.
which is so good.
Distraction,
Yeah, what technology like the phones are like weapons of mass distraction.
weapons of mass distraction.
But like, we can use people are distracted on it and
Uh-huh.
then
But it's funny because everybody sits there on their phones, right? And that's really not that different. People used to sit and read
yes,
the newsletter. I remember
yes.
my grandfather would just sit for hours playing solitaire.
Yep.
He was just like, "Ch, ch, 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 ch,
Hmm.
ch." But when he was doing that, he was completely inside his own self. At
Yeah.
least with the cell phones, people are interacting with different ideas and different people. And, so I don't see it as a totally negative thing. I think, blind, mean, stupid people will do blind, mean, stupid things with technology.
Mhm.
But
It's the
uh,
same. It's the same. It's just another thing we're using. It's just another newspaper, right?
right, right,
But I think the only thing is maybe you can say it's a super normal stimulus. So it's more engaging. It's more
yeah,
dopamine.
yeah.
But I mean
I
the
don't know what will happen. I know it sure happened very quickly.
yeah.
Yeah. So who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird because it's just always been present in my life, right? I
Yeah.
was
Uh-huh.
into the era. So, you know, thinking about it, okay, what was life before I was born? I'm like, whoa, okay. Oh my gosh. Like, you know, it's hard to think and compare the differences when you didn't live through the different times. But when I do see it, you know, the psychological processes are the same, right?
Right.
But now
Uh-huh.
it's like, but the means are completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But think about this as kind of from a native point of view. Your job is to become a really wise elder,
Mm.
right? So,
Hmm.
and just think about all the old people you know that can't even figure out how to text.
Oh, I love it.
They didn't keep up. So things are going to change even faster than that for you. So it's going to be a lot to keep up.
Oh, I love this so much. I
Yeah,
love that in the native traditions, your job is to become a wise elder. I love
right.
that so much.
Yeah, yeah. Not just, sit there in your 70s and 80s and you're still searching for
Yes.
the
Yes.
next book or yeah.
Well, because for it's for others, right? I mean, it's for
Right,
it's like I mean, just your attention again is just not narrowed down on to your individual self, right?
right,
It's
right,
it's it's others are included, right?
right, right, right. And so much of it has to do with your ability to listen. We live near the big whole battlefield, and so I saw this flyer. This Native American guy was going to give a talk,
Mm.
and you know how you have to put a bio in there, and his bio was that when he was young, he listened, and I thought, how can you have a better bio than that?
That's so good.
Yeah. Okay, well, listen, we better go. Speaking of listening, I have a ton of
Okay.
stuff to do. But who knows when we'll do it again? And this one might actually post to YouTube. So
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
Okay, ever onward. Go find nothing.
Yeah. That's good.
Don't run from it.
You ain't going to hell.
Yeah, don't go to hell. You're going to be the very best Muslim there is. You can tell your
Inshallah.
mom.